Hey guys, welcome back to the SMA Victor Podcast. I am your host, Victor, aka Victor the Inspiration. And today we have a fascinating new episode. If you have been following and keeping up with my content with this YouTube channel for quite some time, I had fell under the weather for nearly 3.5 weeks, quite some time. And it hit me a lot harder than usual during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. And during that, the recovery process was just I was extremely more fatigued than usual. And actually today, at the time of this recording, which is currently New Year's Eve of 25, which is currently December 31st, 2025, I woke up feeling under the weather a little bit with my respiratory, nothing too concerning or anything too crazy. But yeah, I wanted to get back into the momentum getting these podcasts going. So without any more, let's get right into today's episode. Hi, ChatGPT. I want you to be my co-host within today's episode. And within today's episode, we are going to be discussing the latest about what is BIO101 for SMA. And it says BIO101 is an investigational oral small molecule drug candidate developed by BioPitis to treat neuromuscular diseases, including spinal muscular atrophy. It is a purified form of a 20-hydroxyzine that acts as a mass receptor activator, protecting muscle fibers and motor neurons to reduce muscle wasting, improve fatigue resistance, and increase survival in preclinical SMA models.
Absolutely, Victor. I'd love to jump in as your co-host. So today we're diving into the latest on BIO101 for SMA. It's pretty interesting stuff. Basically, BIO101 is an investigational small molecule that's being developed to help treat neuromuscular diseases like spinal muscular atrophy. The cool part is that it works as a muscle receptor activator, which means it's designed to protect muscle fibers and motor neurons. So we're talking about potentially reducing muscle wasting, helping with fatigue, and even improving survival in preclinical models. So let's break it down and explore how this could impact the SMA community.
There has been a lot of significant breakthroughs within the SMA community, especially just within this past year of 2025. And also I wanted to mention too, I am testing out a new camera. So let me know what you guys think. I'm kind of in the middle of it, but I'm playing around with some lighting to maybe increase the quality here. It says key aspects of BIO101 for SMA, mechanisms of action. Unlike current SMA therapies like Spinraza that increase SMN protein levels, BIO101 works independently of SMN, making it a potential complementary therapy to boost muscle function.
Absolutely. And that's a great call out, Victor. So first off, I hope the new camera setup is going to look awesome. Always fun to see how those lighting tweaks turn out. And diving back into BIO101, one of the key points here is exactly what you said. Unlike treatments like Spinraza that focus on increasing SMN protein, BIO101 is doing its own thing on a separate pathway. That means it's not trying to fix the SMN protein levels at all. Instead, it's aiming directly at muscle function, which can make it a really nice complementary therapy. So you potentially have Spinraza or other SMN-based treatments working on one side, and then BIO101 coming in to support muscle health from a totally different angle. It's definitely an exciting piece of the puzzle for the SMA community this year.
So what is it doing with the SMN protein?
Great question. So that's the really interesting part about BIO101. It's actually not doing anything with the SMN protein directly. Unlike some of the other therapies out there that aim to boost SMN protein levels, like Spinraza or other similar treatments, BIO101 is working on a completely different pathway. So in other words, it's not interacting with or changing the SMN protein at all. Instead, it's focusing on protecting muscle fibers and motor neurons in a different way. That means it could be used alongside those other therapies, kind of like a team effort, to help boost muscle function and reduce symptoms. So it's really about offering a complementary approach rather than replacing or altering the SMN protein pathway.
So for example, clarify if I'm wrong here, but my interpretation is Spinraza helps produce SMN protein, which is the very thing that causes SMA, whereas BIO101 is the very thing that kind of helps SMA from atrophying. So one essentially helps deliver you progression in a way, whereas the other one helps produce the very thing we need to prevent more atrophy, more muscle wasting.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track there, Victor. That's a great way to break it down. So, in simple terms, exactly, Spinraza is basically helping your body produce more of the SMN protein, which is the protein that's lacking in people with SMA and is part of what leads to the muscle wasting. On the other hand, BIO101 is kind of coming in from a totally different angle. It's not trying to fix the SMN protein shortage at all. Instead, it's focusing directly on protecting the muscles and neurons themselves. So one is about giving your body the missing ingredient it needs, the SMN protein, and the other is about directly helping to keep your muscles healthier and reduce wasting. So together, they could be a really strong combination.
And the next one says targeted effects. It improves motor function, increases muscle resistance to fatigue, and promotes motor neuron protection in the spinal cord. ChatGPT, can you give some elaboration on this?
Absolutely. Let's break that down a bit more. So when we talk about the targeted effects of BIO101, it's really focusing on a few key goals. First off, it aims to improve motor function. That means it's trying to help the muscles and the neurons that control movement work more effectively. So ideally, that could translate to better mobility and muscle performance for people with SMA. Secondly, it increases muscle resistance to fatigue. In other words, it's helping muscles not get tired as quickly, which can be a big deal for people who experience muscle weakness or fatigue as a major symptom. It's kind of like giving your muscles a little extra stamina. And lastly, it promotes motor neuron protection. That means it's helping to protect the nerve cells that communicate with your muscles, which can help slow down muscle wasting and hopefully maintain muscle strength over time. So in short, BIO101 is sort of acting like a bodyguard for your muscles and neurons, helping them work better, last longer, and stay stronger.
And it says preclinical success. In studies, BIO101 demonstrated increased survival and body weight in SMA mice.
Exactly. And that's a really promising piece of the puzzle. So in these preclinical studies with SMA mice, they found that BIO101 was actually able to increase both survival and body weight in these animal models of SMA. That's a good early indicator that the drug is doing something beneficial at a very foundational level. Of course, that's in mice, and the real test will be in human trials, but it's a really encouraging start. It means the drug is showing that it can help keep those muscles and motor neurons in better shape, at least in these early models, and that's definitely something the SMA community can look forward to as research continues.
It says combination therapy potential. When combined with antisense oligonucleotide, ASO therapies such as Spinraza, BIO101 showed synergistic effects on mobility and fatigue resistance in SMA mouse models.
Yeah, and that's a really exciting angle. So basically, when they tried using BIO101 together with something like Spinraza, those antisense oligonucleotide or ASO therapies, what they saw in the SMA mice was a kind of synergistic effect. In other words, the two treatments worked even better together than either one did alone. So you end up getting improved mobility and better resistance to fatigue in these models, which is really promising. It's like each therapy brings something unique to the table, and when you combine them, you get an even stronger benefit. So down the road, this could mean that people with SMA might have more comprehensive treatment options that work together to give them a better quality of life.
This is amazing. I want to touch on two more things before we close out today's episode. It says other potential uses. It says that this can also be used for DMD, which is Duchenne muscular dystrophy, potentially.
Absolutely. And that's a great point to highlight as we wrap up. So while we've been talking about BIO101 in the context of SMA, the potential doesn't necessarily stop there. There's some early interest in exploring whether it could also help with other neuromuscular conditions like Duchenne muscular dystrophy or DMD. DMD is another genetic muscle wasting disease, and the idea is that if BIO101 can protect muscles and improve their function in SMA, it might have similar benefits for other conditions that involve muscle degeneration. Of course, that's something that would need its own research and trials, but it's an exciting possibility that could broaden the impact of this kind of therapy. So it's definitely an area to keep an eye on. And I think that's a perfect note to wrap up on, just knowing that these advances might not only help the SMA community, but potentially other neuromuscular communities as well. Thanks for having me as your co-host.
This is amazing. So I'm reading a little article here from the MDAconference.org, which is the MDA Association. Phenomenal, amazing, great organization. And it says, our preclinical data suggests that BIO101 improves respiratory function in preclinical DMD models. Indeed, as a single agent, BIO101 improved respiratory functions and airway responsiveness, as well as lungs mechanical properties. These effects were observed from 1 month of oral treatments of BIO101 and were sustained for up to 6 months in C57BL10-MDX mice. In severe SMA-like mice, BIO101 has demonstrated beneficial effects on the entire motor units, leading to an enhancement of muscle fatigue resistance, which is also observed more markedly in mild SMA-like mice. ChatGPT, can you break this down?
Absolutely. Let's break that down a bit. So what you're reading from that MDA conference article is actually pretty amazing. They're saying that in preclinical models of DMD, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, BIO101 has shown that it can improve respiratory function and how well the airways respond, as well as the muscle's mechanical properties. In other words, it's not just helping muscles in terms of strength and fatigue, it's also improving how well the respiratory system works, which is a huge deal for conditions that affect muscles needed for breathing. They noticed these effects after just 1 month of treatment, and they were able to sustain those benefits over a period of 6 months in these DMD model mice. That's pretty significant because it suggests that BIO101 isn't just a short-term fix. It might have lasting benefits when used over time. And then when we look at SMA-like mice, it's a similar story. BIO101 showed that it can help the entire motor unit, which means not just the muscles, but also the neurons that control them. That leads to better muscle fatigue resistance, and they even tell more pronounced benefits in the milder SMA models. So in a nutshell, it's showing a lot of promise, not just for SMA, but potentially for other conditions like DMD by supporting muscles, nerves, and overall motor function over time.
This is really, really cool because what I'm picking up on is like like Spinraza, for example, treats the problem, which is the SMN production, whereas BIO101 helps treat the very thing that is slowly slipping away from us, which is muscle atrophy, which is muscle degeneration. So ChatGPT, what is one way we can really simplify in simple terminology for the audience to interpret on how much of a significant breakthrough this is within the SMA community?
Absolutely. Let's put it in really simple terms. You can think of it like this. If Spinraza is like giving your body the missing instruction manual to produce a crucial protein, then BIO101 is like giving your muscles a protective shield so they don't wear out as quickly. In other words, Spinraza is fixing the underlying problem at the protein level, while BIO101 is helping to keep the muscle strong and resilient on the grind. So when you put those two together, it's like you're not only addressing the root cause, but you're also giving your muscles a backup plan to stay healthier longer. For the SMA community, that's a big deal because it means you're tackling the condition from two different angles at once. And that could lead to better muscle strength, less fatigue, and a better quality of life overall.
This is great. And I also want to mention as well, ChatGPT, I keep mentioning Spinraza is simply because I personally take Spinraza. But in reference to other gene therapies as well, such as Evrysdi and Zolgensma, how beneficial is it with BIO101 and those other two medical therapies?
Absolutely. And it's great that you brought that up because it applies in a similar way. So just like with Spinraza, BIO101 could also be a complementary partner to other therapies like Evrysdi and Zolgensma. Each of those treatments is doing something a little different. For example, Zolgensma is a gene therapy that's essentially replacing the faulty gene at the root cause, and Evrysdi is another oral treatment that helps increase SMN protein levels over time. When you add BIO101 into that mix, you're essentially giving your muscles extra support no matter which of these therapies you're using. It's like having a universal helper that works alongside any of these SMN boosting treatments or gene therapies to keep your muscle healthier. So the benefit is pretty broad. It doesn't just apply to Spinraza users. It can be a potential add-on for anyone using these other therapies as well, giving them that extra layer of muscle protection and potentially improving overall outcomes.
And one last final question. As this episode is going on, my mind is thinking of some more different stuff. Before we move, because I already have a topic for the next episode. So really quickly, ChatGPT, to really close out and finalize, to really close out today's episode, I want to have one last question for you. Is Bio 101 FDA approved, or is it currently going through the developmental phase?
Absolutely. Let's wrap it up with that. So right now, Bio 101 isn't FDA approved yet. It's still in the developmental phase. That means it's going through clinical trials and all the steps needed to make sure it's safe and effective for people. So it's not available as a treatment just yet, but it's definitely on that path. And the hope is that with successful trials, it could become an approved option in the future. So we're still in the waiting and watching phase, but there's definitely a lot of promising momentum behind it.
Amazing. This was a great episode to come back to. I am rusty. I'm sure you guys can tell, but this was a great episode. Again, about the camera angle, or not the camera angle. The camera angle I like, but the camera quality, I don't know. I'm like in the middle of it. Do I like it? Do I not? Should I invest and get a higher quality camera? If so, I thought about getting a professional grade camera. Financially speaking, now it's not like I'm not there yet, but you do the best you can with what you got, right? So I came across this camera. I thought it was pretty cool, and it's called the EMEET Pixie, something like that. It looks like Wally, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I thought this was back to what I was saying. This was a great episode to come back to. Again, we have been gone for, I think December 2nd was actually my last upload for the podcast series or podcast episodes on this YouTube channel. And, again, I was under the weather and I was down bad. I was not doing the greatest to say the very least. However, I am doing a lot better. Again, I did wake up a little bit slightly under the weather this morning with my respiratory. Nothing concerning, nothing out of the ordinary, especially during this time of season, this time of year. And but yeah, I thought this was a great episode to come back to. I did start, however, a new thing because although when I was like during Thanksgiving for like those 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, it was nearly like 3 weeks. During that time frame, although physically speaking, I was not doing the greatest, and although my respiratory was not doing the greatest as well, I was able to, over like maybe the 2 week mark, I was able to get some physical strength back where I actually was able to move my arms again. To put it simply, I was so severe with my respiratory during Thanksgiving where I actually needed assistance to be fed. Meaning I could not do it whatsoever. I could not pick up my utensil. I could not pick up my food with my fingers. Like I couldn't do any of that. It was a really, really, I don't want to say frightening experience. It was frightening in the context of, is this my new normal? However, I'm not doing the greatest physically yet, but I am doing better where I am able to feed myself. I'm struggling a little bit, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather struggle than not be able to do it at all. At least like right now, there's just so many things I want to do, and I would love to at least just fulfill one of those big things, big dreams of mine, before I get to this state where I physically am not mobile. I wanted to mention that. But yeah, this was a good episode again. But where I was going with that is because, again, my respiratory was not doing good. I started something a little bit different, which is me spreading SMA awareness. However, I do it in a music style, which is a bit creative, where, I'm spreading SMA awareness, but I utilize AI to help create me the lyrics. So I come up with the lyrics and I go over the lyrics and I'm like, okay, I like it. And then, I make music like that. And the reason why I did that is because, one, some people are interested in podcasts and, they attain information like that. I thought about for like the younger generation who, let's just say little me, I'm currently 26, turning 27 January 7th, which is like a week at the time of this recording. And when I think about little me is sometimes listening to a podcast or listening to videos, you may not want to listen to a podcast or a YouTube video. And some of us attain information through music. So I wanted to think a little bit creatively, which is how can I spread SMA awareness, but in a unique, creative way where we can attain information. And, when I think about individuals who aspire to learn more about SMA or want to learn more about their own condition, if they have SMA, listening to a song, to me, it's like cool because it's like a vibe, right? But two, you're also attaining information where whenever people ask you about your own condition, sometimes we can go off of a song as a reference, play, like little parts of a music in our head, and that becomes our way of attaining information. I need to explain that much better. There's definitely a much simpler way to explain that. I am like super rusty, especially with my vocabulary, but pretty much what I'm saying, I created a new series called the SMA Victor Music. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'm currently doing daily music uploads. And right now, I think I'm going to be doing every other day for SMA podcast styles episodes. Give me like 2-3 weeks. There's a lot of different stuff I'm working on behind the scenes, and it's just taking up a lot of my time. Me falling under the weather as I did, it significantly slowed me down a lot. And, so I'm just thinking to myself, okay, I don't want to make myself overwhelmed in the context of I have to do X, Y, Z. I gave myself some grace and some understanding like, hey, you're doing the best you can. And that's always going to be more than enough. And yeah, so I wanted to mention that. But I think I'm going to be doing every other day episodes for podcast styles, and every day you will see music uploads. That's the current schedule right now. I think realistically it's going to be every other day for this month of January 2026, and then from February and on, all the way up to the end of the year, then I think I'll be able to create much more content, and then I'll be able to upload daily again, especially for the SMA podcast. That's really, really important to me. And I'm sure it's important for you guys as well, But yeah, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Again, my name is Victor, your host, aka Victor the Inspiration. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video. Comment down below what you learned within today's episode. And have you heard about BIO101 or have you not? And feel free to let me know too what you guys would like to hear, see, be discussed within next future episodes. Again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. And please subscribe, share it with your friends, family, your neighbors. And I am so close to getting to 100 subscribers just on this YouTube channel. And it would be a very amazing milestone to reach. We currently have 93, which is a significant milestone to begin with. At one point we were at 0. So anything's a gain, never a loss. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And again, as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.